What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to quickly show you how to double peg stall a quarter on your BMX. So for this you're obviously going to need two pegs because a double peg stall is front peg and back peg on. When it comes to the double peg stall, you got to be kind of a little bit picky about what quarters you do it on to learn with, to start with. The mindset when you're learning might be kind of go on a small quarter that's not that steep, but that's actually going to make the double peg a little bit harder to get into because it throws your balance out. You need to kind of compensate for it being mellow by leaning over heaps. So believe it or not, if you go to a slightly bigger quarter, a little bit steeper, it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier. Unlike a bar spin, like taking your hands off, or a tail whip where you take your feet off, this trick's all about balance, and it's about kind of positioning your body kind of around the coping. The coping is the central point where you're moving your weight around and, you know, stalling and then coming back in. So today I'm going to show you how to do that, and this is what a double peg looks like. So the first thing that I recommend is learning how to get into the ramp, so out of the double peg. This might seem kind of backwards that we're learning the last part first, but when you get to then dropping back in, you've already got the confidence and you know how to do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to pop your bike down on the pegs, and it'll, depending on what side you run your pegs, your front foot will either be on the deck forwards or you'll be on the deck like that if you run the switch pegs. Doesn't really matter, either or will do the job. But what we're going to do now is getting back in is a matter of just a simple weight shift, kind of tipping in, turning your wheel a little bit so you don't slide out, and then rolling away. So this is what it should look like. You can see with that, as I dropped in, I did a little bit of a hop, committed all my weight into the quarter. It's kind of a trick where you have to commit everything in. If you kind of half do it, you're going to maybe slide out or kind of get to the bottom and get a little bit kind of squirrely. It's got to be a solid hop and then 100% commitment with your weight, looking down and then riding out. One way you can do this, if you're a little bit worried to start with, you can kind of deploy your safety net kind of thing. And you can do that by pretty much taking one foot off, just pushing off, still committing with your weight and turning, but you're just pushing off with that foot and you kind of keep it down for safety. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you while we're up here is kind of how you balance it and where your weight wants to sit, so you can kind of keep balanced in the double peg and then drop back in successfully. Now, obviously as you're coming up the ramp, your weight and your momentum is going to be travelling that way. So what you need to do is you need to keep your body weight this side of the coping. You need to keep it in the ramp. The reason for that is if you throw all your weight out, you're going to go with the momentum and probably travel, you know, onto the deck. You've got a smaller quarter into something else like this. If I just show you what I mean, I'll go up and then I'll carry my weight out of the quarter and kind of end up over there. You can kind of see, I just lift it up and threw all my weight out. That's going to make the double peg really unstable and really hard to get into. You know, you might miss a peg like I did, or something like that, and it's not going to be too pleasant. What you want to do is you want to travel up and kind of with enough speed just to get your pegs over, and then when you hop on, you do your little 90, and then with your hands you kind of throw them out, and then it leaves your weight in the quarter. So you're going to end up looking kind of like this when you're balancing. It's kind of like weight in, like that, hands out a little bit. Once you've stopped the momentum of the double peg, you can pretty much rock around a little bit, kind of off that pedal, a little bit in. You kind of got a little bit of wiggle room. But when you're coming up and you need to stabilise it for the initial landing and hitting with the pegs, goddamn garbage trucks. You want to kind of come up and then keep your weight in and kind of arms out like that. I'll kind of show you what I mean. It's kind of like that. So my hands were out, my weight was kind of just over the top and just kind of in. So that's kind of what you do once you've got up and into it and then you're ready to go back in. What I'm now going to show you how to do is to actually come up and hop into it. This is kind of probably the hardest part, but now that you know how to drop in safely, you know, you should be right, and you have the confidence to drop back in, because we've kind of already covered that. If you're really cool, you can almost just sit down drop-ins. I don't know if this is going to work. Last time I did this, I crashed, but we'll give it a shot. So the idea to get into the double peg is, as I said earlier, you don't want to go with too much speed, because then it's going to be more momentum that you have to stop with your weight and kind of balance out. You want to go just with enough speed just to get to the top and get your pegs over. And then once you know that your pegs are over, kind of flick them out and it catches on the coping. And you should just sit there if your weight's in the quarter, but your bike's out. And that's what's going to kind of stop you from toppling. Another big thing that I do, you can do it without it. I do it a lot sometimes on kind of bigger quarters or quarters that I'm a little unsure on. With quarters that, you know, I'm used to, you don't need to do it so much, but you can think of your foot that's on the deck as a third peg by just slamming that flat to the deck and using it to balance as well. It's really good to start with, because the biggest thing that I see with people doing double pegs to begin with is they're going to go up and kind of, they're not ready kind of for the weight shift where you need to stay in, but you want to stop your momentum going up and kind of lock the bike out. They kind of topple and they kind of almost get that balance point, but then they take their outside foot off. Instead of taking your outside foot off, what you can do is, if you really, like, you know you've almost got it, just slam your foot with the pedal onto the deck and it will act as a third peg, and it should be a really stable kind of lock that you'll be in. And then we just take from what we learnt before and just drop back in. So I'll kind of show you what I see a lot, taking the foot off, and then I'll show you slamming your foot onto the deck. Now remember, we're going to go up with just enough speed just to get to the top and get our pegs over. We're going to do our little 90. Hands are going to go out. So you kind of go out, your weight stays in a little bit, hands go out, and then you put your foot down on the deck just to start with, to kind of create a third peg. So I'll show you that. I'll do one example where my foot comes off, kind of what we see, and then I'll do another one with the foot on the ground, or sorry, on the deck, and then I'll do another one where you don't use your foot and you just use your pegs. So there you go, guys, that's the double peg stall on a quarter. That'll work on really any size quarter, depending, I guess. If it's really mellow, like the quarter down at Gilston Bay, you need to lean over so much that it's more like a bank with coping. But for quarters this size, a little bit smaller and a bit bigger, definitely it's the same principle, that you go up with just enough speed to get your pegs on, your hands go out, you put your foot down, but you keep your weight in to stop that momentum going up the quarter, travelling out. They're a relatively easy trick, and it's kind of the deal of, once you land your first one, the rest of them is kind of consistently locked, just because it's muscle memory. You know that feeling of going up, locking it in, and then coming back. If you've got any questions or anything like that, please leave a comment below. I'll be happy to answer them, give you a hand with whatever I can. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully it's helped you guys learn some double pegs. But yeah, let us know. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next video. See you guys.